Hey everybody, welcome back to Browntable, and today I wanted to talk about the movie Infinity War, Avengers Infinity War, which is basically 10 years of Marvel build-up into one movie. And I watched it opening day, and it was like really early in the morning, but it was still an incredibly packed theater. I gotta say, I clapped like 10 times, and it was pretty exciting. Now, there's been a lot of people saying that this is like the greatest Marvel movie ever, and there's no flaws and anything like that, and there are definitely flaws. Not huge flaws. There's all these little tiny issues, but it's really not even much of a big deal because the movie is really incredibly well done. Do I think it's the greatest Marvel movie? I don't. Do I think it's one of the best Marvel movies? I do think that. Right now, it's my favorite Marvel movie. Objectively, I don't think it's the greatest Marvel movie, if you understand what I'm saying. I think a better and more concise, well-rounded film would be Iron Man or Captain America the Winter Soldier or the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are a bit more, I feel, fleshed out and rounded out. While Infinity War, it's still amazing, but it really relies on the fact that there's been 10 years of build-up, especially when there's some characters that don't get enough screen time compared to other characters that do. And I can understand why people complain that the movie feels too long, but I can also understand that people complain that certain characters should have gotten more screen time, and I completely understand that. But I also don't really bash the movie for that because I know there's a sequel, which will have more of those characters that we did not get, and the plot is supposed to move forward with certain characters, and other characters are kind of benched so that these other characters can progress the plot. So that really doesn't bother me that much. But yeah, I would have liked to see more Captain America, more Black Widow, more Falcon. There are unsurprisingly a lot of SJWs that are saying, what happened to Black Widow? Why was she barely in the movie? What happened to Okoye? Why was she barely in the movie? I personally think Black Widow had more screen time than Captain America, and that's kind of saying a lot. And Okoye had a pretty similar amount of screen time compared to Black Panther, so I don't really get the argument there. This movie also made me love Scarlet Witch, completely. I really never particularly liked the character that much in the previous movies, but this one made me really understand and connect with the character in a way I hadn't experienced before. Black Widow, Scarlet Witch, and Okoye take out one of Thanos' henchmen, and that's another thing about the movie. I think this is one of the biggest flaws it has, even though it's not really that big of a deal, is that Thanos' henchmen, or children, I think, sons and daughters, I can't remember their names. I know Ebony Maw and Corgus Glaive, and that's pretty much it. So not knowing these characters' names was kind of frustrating, but it really doesn't bother me too much because they are henchmen, and not every character is going to have a character arc. Another flaw that I think the movie had, not to just keep going on about the flaws, was that the Hulk was severely underutilized, but that wasn't the problem. The problem is how they handled that underutilization. For me, Bruce Banner's kind of this tormented individual, and I can understand that the movie is kind of trying to rectify his character, give him a warmer presence, and he kind of pretty much acts like just a normal guy now. I think one way they could have improved Bruce Banner and Hulk's situation was to make the entire ordeal a lot more serious. Every time Bruce Banner wanted to Hulk out, and he couldn't, it was played for laughs. And I know that there are a lot of moments in the movie where he's trying to Hulk out and Tony Stark said, "Hey man, you're embarrassing me in front of wizards." That's really funny. But if Banner really trying to force the Hulk out keeps on becoming this ongoing gag, it just becomes stale. And I feel like it started becoming stale by the time he started slapping himself in the face. And then in the Wakanda battle, the trailers for Avengers Infinity War kind of tease you that Hulk is going to come out, but he doesn't, you know? And I feel like the entire moment where Banner was trying to Hulk out and couldn't, I feel like that could have been a bit more dramatic. I feel like they could have added some weight to that because the entire scene kind of felt comedic because, he's just, again, screaming, "Hulk, come out," and the Hulk wouldn't come out. So Bruce Banner said, screw it, I'll do it. And I feel like that could have been handled in a more serious way because Black Dwarf, I think was his name, he didn't feel like an imminent threat. He didn't feel serious enough. And I feel like there were a lot of moments in the movie where there is a serious threat and the characters kind of act accordingly. Anyways, for me, those were the flaws of Infinity War, and now for the pros, every other thing else. The acting in this movie, I think, brought out some of the best acting I've ever seen from any of the cast members. And I think that one of the standouts was Spider-Man, or Tom Holland. Tom Holland did an amazing job. I just recently heard that his final scene, you know what I'm talking about, he improv'd most of it. He was just told, okay, so this is happening, you're kind of dying, so just act like you're dying. And he improv'd probably when he says, I don't want to go, all of that. And it's incredible. Robert Downey Jr. brings it again as Tony Stark Iron Man. Fantastic character. You can tell he has a character arc that's going to continue into Avengers 4. And now for my favorite character personally, Thor has the best arc in the movie because it actually completes. It's fantastic to watch, and I love what Taika Waititi did with Thor and Ragnarok, and now how the Russos have kind of basically perfected the character in this movie. And I feel like when he returned to Wakanda, that was the scene which got the most applause and praise from my audience, and that's what I think solidified this Marvel movie, Infinity War, as one of the best Marvel movies, because if you can feel that much emotion for one scene after just watching a movie, and it's not even done yet, I feel like that's a huge accomplishment. Zoe Saldana as Gamora did amazing, and it's one of the standout performances, surprisingly, because in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2 she's really good, but she's never one thing I really think about after I finish watching the movie. I just feel like she always does a good job, gets it done, just amazing actress, but I feel like in this movie she had an insane amount to work with, and she just brought it. It was fantastic. Her final scene was one of the most emotionally powerful scenes. Loki's death was also one of the most emotionally powerful scenes. I almost cried when he died. It was so sad. It was so sad. This entire movie is really sad. What really drives the movie's sentiment is Alan Silvestri's score, and I really can't praise it enough. Every single theme in the movie melded perfectly with every scene. It felt like it was supposed to be there. I've read a lot of comments on the scores saying that this isn't really workout music for me. Like, the person's gonna go to the gym and listen to the Avengers Infinity War soundtrack, which makes sense, I can understand that. It's not supposed to be that. The movie score is supposed to meld perfectly with the scenes that it's in, so it does its job so fantastically. Creating music for a movie is a lot like editing, and there are moments where you kind of want the music to shine, so that's why sometimes maybe the audio cuts off in a movie and all you hear is the music. But most of the time, the music is supposed to go in harmony with what you're looking at and is almost supposed to be unnoticed. It's supposed to add to the moment without you noticing it's there. Just like editing, which is supposed to be kind of this invisible thing. I do think that the Avengers theme will go down in history as one of the most recognized themes ever made. I also thought the effects in this movie were really good. I thought Spider-Man's Homecoming costume looked a lot better than in Spider-Man Homecoming, his own solo film. I thought the Iron Spider costume looked amazing. Iron Man's costume also looked pretty photorealistic at moments, and Rocket Raccoon, the Red Skull's new face, that was fantastic to see. And lastly, Thanos, which pretty much throughout almost the entire movie looked pretty freaking real, and it was really amazing to see how far technology has come to be able to create characters that don't even exist but feel like they're there. And Thanos is also, in my opinion, the greatest Marvel Cinematic Universe villain, and it's going to be really hard to change my mind, and I'm going to tell you why. It's not because of all this build-up from the first Avengers, it's not because of that. The reason why Thanos is the best villain, in my opinion, is because his motivations make sense, but how he acts on those motivations is the best I've seen. While most villains really kind of try to play with the character a lot and try to kind of, go like, let me tease them a little bit, let me play with them before I totally destroy them. Thanos just completely destroys you from the start, and I think that's what's really intimidating about him. Thanos is basically this unstoppable force in the movie, and he just plummets through every single character that is thrown at him, and it's just insane to see. He's able to take out everybody, and every single time he has a chance to do something that'll go his way, he will do that. Literally, the movie begins in Thor's destroyed ship. There's this fantastic pan through all this carnage and destruction. You go through Ebony Maw speaking, and then you go to see Loki, and then you see what Loki's looking at, and it's Thanos. And it's his silhouette, and you see how massive he is. It's so intimidating. I feel like I've heard people say Killmonger's a better villain. Maybe he'd be a better villain if he actually won, because Thanos kind of wins. I think that's the most jaw-dropping thing about Infinity War, is that he actually wins, and half the universe actually dissolves, ceases to exist. And that's just really freaking scary if you think about it. And a lot of people have been saying this is a cop-out. I know a lot of people have been saying that maybe studios will hear about this like, oh my god, an Avengers Infinity War killed a lot of people, let's kill a lot of people in our movies, and and then just bring them back. I think that that's not the point. I feel like Infinity War killed a lot of people obviously for shock value, but also because of the impact it has on the characters that are left. A lot of the characters that are left basically lose half of themselves, if you think about it. Like Steve loses Bucky, Rocket loses Groot, Okoye loses Black Panther, Tony loses Spider-Man. Like, all of these characters, they're basically like these duos that you always see, and now half of that duo is gone. It's really, really painful to watch because, oh man, it's just painful to watch. I don't know what else to say. Like, what else can I say? The thing is, it's not about who dies, it's about who's left. The scene is literally about the remaining people, not the people who are gone. It's really just amazing. It's a fantastic film. I recommend everyone to see it. I really do recommend everyone to watch all the Marvel movies before they watch this one, so they'll understand it 100%. And I think it's really an event. It's become a phenomenon. I'm pretty sure it already beat the domestic box office of Justice League, and I think it already beat out The Force Awakens, which is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, so yeah. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you really liked it, please subscribe. And if you actually really liked it, you can support my Patreon. Also, please, if you really liked this individual video, please like it, share it, and of course, comment on it. So thanks for coming to the table, and I'll see you all next time.